So in this video, we're going to see how to create a custom version of ChatGPT, and we're going to make this really powerful by giving it the ability to interact with any software. As you know, creating a GPT is really easy and doesn't even require developer experience. But the most important feature, which is the ability for ChatGPT to talk to software, is really buried down here, and it's called actions. What action essentially allows ChatGPT to do is to actually interact with a lot of different software, whether it's Slack messages, Discord servers, sending emails, watching YouTube videos and reading transcripts, editing your code, and reading various PDFs. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to build a custom API and look at how we can make a really powerful AI agent. To demonstrate this really powerful capability, we'll build an application or a GPT that helps you learn new concepts faster. What it does is essentially searches through YouTube videos, it reads the transcripts, and basically helps you find information quicker. I've already kind of coded this up, so I just want to demo what we're going to make by the end of this video. So let's say you could ask something like, what are some of the videos I could watch to learn how to make kimchi? And what this software does, it calls that custom API endpoint that we're going to create by the end of this video, and parses all that information, summarizes it. Hopefully this saves you a lot of time. And what's really interesting and powerful about this approach, where you have your ChatGPT talk to your custom API endpoint, is that a lot of the logic, a lot of the algorithms that you define can be behind that API, and what you're essentially doing is just letting this agent interact with your proprietary algorithm. And it's also quite interesting because traditionally you can use GUIs or some front-end application to interact with your APIs, and now what you essentially have is a natural language interface to that custom algorithm you wrote. As you can see, it's finished summarizing a couple of different YouTube videos. So I can just say, I just started cooking. Which video would be best for me to watch as a beginner? This way, I don't have to spend a lot of time watching all these different videos. This is fantastic. I think this is going to save me a lot of time. I can simply click this video link and watch the video here. Perfect. All right, so let's get started on how to build this app from scratch. All right, to do that, we'll begin by clicking this Create a GPT button. The GPT will ask you, hi, I'll help you build a new GPT. I want to make a GPT to help me summarize YouTube videos. Okay, it's going to do its thing. In this particular case, what's really nice is that you have this natural language interface, and yeah, you can see the preview here. Users questions. Is unclear. Please just all right, I think this is basically ready and we can try it out. And what we're going to do here is so it's asking me to test. So it created these specific instructions, right? As you can see, you can upload your own knowledge base, but in this video, what we're going to focus on is the ability for this GPT to talk to our software API. So what we're trying to do is we have a custom GPT that we created, and we want it to go and do YouTube searches, um, read the transcripts, and then answer user questions based on that, right? So essentially, we need to build this API. The way we're going to do that is actually by writing a software, essentially a Python script that talks to the YouTube app. For simplicity, we're going to use Replit, which is essentially like um, an IDE that's hosted in the cloud. So that allows us to really easily uh, um, host our application and create web APIs. Create a custom API endpoint really easily. We're going to use Replit. You can think of Replit as an IDE that's hosted in the cloud. It makes it really easy to create custom API endpoints. So we're going to start by first creating a Python script that basically does the YouTube search um, and reads the transcript. And then we're going to turn that Python script into a web API. All right, to do that, let's start by creating a REPL. We're going to create a Python program. Then we're going to give it a name, YouTube. All right, as you can see, it's just like any other IDE. So if I were to print hello world and click run, it would simply execute this and print hello world in the terminal. All right, so instead of this, we'll write a Python code um, that allows us to search for YouTube videos and read transcripts. Um, the code for this will be linked below, so please check that out. All right, so here's the code that I've written. Let me quickly walk through it before running it. What you can see is I've imported a couple of different libraries, particularly the Google API client, which allows me to do YouTube searches, and then a YouTube transcript API library that allows me to extract transcripts for a given YouTube video if I know the video ID. Um, um, to access to do YouTube searches, you need an API key from Google. You can create this by going to console.cloud.google.com/API/library and activating the YouTube Data API version 3. Um, Here's a function I defined to do YouTube search. Basically, given a query, it lists all the relevant search results. Here I'm selecting top three results, and then it goes through each item and identifies the video ID, um, title, views, and channel. Um, once we have the video details, there's another Python library that we can use to extract the transcript. I'm doing a little bit of processing here to not just look at the text, but also extract the start times for each segment. And then basically the main function here calls the YouTube search function, and then it uses that to then get transcript. Here the query I'm using is just ChatGPT plugin. All right, let's see this in action. Let's try to run it. And as you can see, it's installing all the libraries that are missing right now. And then we end up with this error. It says key error, YouTube API not found. That's perfect. That's because we have not defined this YouTube API key under system variables. In Replit, to define um, uh, secret variables, you can go under tools, you can go to um, the secrets tab and then add a new secret. We're going to call this YouTube API key. This is where you would want to paste your own API key. I've added the YouTube API key, and let's try to run this program again. All right, this time everything seems to be working, and in this case, it's I once the transcripts are generated, I asked it to save it as in a transcript.json file. So let's take a look. As you can see, it found three different videos. Um, and also pulled in all the transcript for each videos. All right, so now that we have a working Python script, what we need to do is we need to convert this to a web API that ChatGPT can access, right? So this is essentially uh, giving ChatGPT access to this particular algorithm that's here in this main function. Um, by the way, if you're wondering how I wrote this code, I actually used ChatGPT for this. Um, you can simply type, I'm trying to create a Python program that does YouTube search, picks the top 3 videos from the search list and extract transcript. Can you walk me through the process? And it basically comes up with that code. Uh, I did have to tweak a little bit so that it uses the YouTube transcript API, but and asked it to kind of fill in the blanks here, like add in the logic. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward, and you can do the same thing here to convert um, this Python script into a web API. Let me show you. So I have this Python script. Can you turn this into a web API using Flask? And then it basically generates this code for you. The code uh, that this generates might look slightly different. So I'm just gonna show you what I have, and hope you can just run that. All right, so we're going to use Flask to turn this YouTube search function into a web API that ChatGPT can call. Um, and we in fact use ChatGPT to generate this code. And let me just quickly explain. So to create an API endpoint, you use this decorator, um, and essentially, you can define what the query is, and based on that query, you do a YouTube search and get the transcripts, and then just convert that into a JSON text. And and there are a lot of different API endpoints that are widely available in the internet. Here's an interesting website, mixedanalytics.com, that lists a lot of free APIs. We can try one of these. So if you just copy this API endpoint, what this API endpoint provides is a JSON response that basically tells you what the conversion rate is between US dollar and a lot of different currencies, right? And that's kind of what we're trying to create here, create an API endpoint that allows us to do the YouTube search and returns uh, a list of results for different YouTube videos and the transcript along with it. Okay. Um, all right. So let's give this a try. So instead of running the main function, now we're just going to serve this API endpoint. To do that, we're using this Python library called Waitress. All you need to do is import this serve package or module from Waitress library, and then just serve this app, where app is this Flask app. Okay, so let me run it. And what I like to actually, before running it, what I always like to do is to create a test API endpoint. So get API is working. Okay. All right. So we have two API endpoints. One is test and one is YouTube search. Um, and let's see if this is working. It's installing both the Flask app and also Waitress. All right, it's finished installing all the necessary libraries. And what you now see is this web view where it says not found. That's totally okay. Let's just open this in a separate window. It gives us the URL that we can use to access our API. If you were to just type test, all right, there you go. We see that our API is working. And now if you were to type YouTube search and give a query, like bonsai, or let's try something else like chat GPT-4 should return a whole bunch of or at least 3 different YouTube videos and the transcript with it. All right, so now that we've created this custom API endpoint that allows us to do YouTube search and also extract the transcript for different YouTube videos. What we're going to do is we're going to give our custom GPT the ability to use this API endpoint. Um, and so to do that, what we'll do is we'll go here under configure menu and add actions. Um, so essentially what it says is enter your Open API schema here. To learn more about Open API schema, you can go to the documentation for Open API specifications. Um, there isn't a whole lot of information out here because I think this was very similar to ChatGPT plugins. Uh, I think OpenAI figured out that actions and agents are a better way of essentially doing the same thing, which is interacting with the different software. So what I'm going to do today is show you how to create the schema, um, and it's actually really simple. What you can do is just use one of these examples here. So let's start with a weather example, right? And if you look through this schema, what it's essentially telling you is, okay, the title for this particular action is this helps you get weather, or describes a little bit better, retrieves current weather data. It tells you what URL the GPT should look at to execute or to call that API endpoint. What is the name of that specific API endpoint? What type of request are we making? Get request, post request. Um, what are the parameters that are needed? And yeah, so and then what the outputs are going to be. So it's essentially a way for ChatGPT to know, uh, you know, what function to call, right? And so to do this for our app, all we need to do is basically go to ChatGPT and and uh, so to make an open API schema for our app, what I did, and it's quite straightforward, is basically to say I want to create an open API schema for my YouTube search API endpoint, and I basically give it this what is the endpoint that we're talking about, right? So the endpoint is uh, YouTube search, right? And I basically gave it the two functions that I've been using, and then just said, hey, please make me an API endpoint, um, and I just said here's the example Open API schema, right? This is what the schema looked like. And then right, so create, and basically ChatGPT looked at that question and then said, okay, creating an OpenAPI schema involves defining the API structure, including paths, parameter, response format, so it knew exactly what was needed. And based on your description, here's an example. All I did was um, copy this and paste it here. And if you look, it's giving us some errors. That's okay. So let's first fix that. So what it's saying is, it says, okay, you need to provide an actual URL for our endpoint, which in our case it's just this, right? And then, okay, path YouTube search, that looks great. It describes it really well, search YouTube videos and get their details along with transcripts. Tells you, okay, you need a query parameter to do the search. And the response format is JSON. And when you get the output back, it provides a lot of different things that include UID, um, title, views, channel number, and so on. All right, as you can see, if I do test, it's actually working. And so what we can do now is uh, first just publish this only to me, so confirm. All right, this application now is ready to go in a sense that it can call this custom API endpoint. But one thing that we want to do is to publish this app to other people. But to create a link, it says here that public actions require valid privacy policy URLs. And so if you look down here, you need another API endpoint to specify privacy policy. So to do that, let's go back to our Replit app, and we're going to just create a text call privacy .txt. Here I'm going to paste our privacy policy. In fact, this is something that I created using ChatGPT in the GPT app. Privacy important to us, and it tells you what this app does and what information it collects. All right, so once this is done, what we need to do is create an API endpoint so that the, um, that text can be rendered, right? All right, so once we have created this privacy.txt file, what we're going to do is we're going to create an API endpoint that allows us to just basically return this text um, in a plain text format. All right. So let's stop the server, rerun it, and see if this endpoint works. So if you go back here and type privacy, there you go. We're going to get this, and we're essentially going to use this endpoint and paste it here for our privacy policy. All right, so once that is done, we should be able to now publish this with with anyone. You can simply give this link to people and they can start using this app. All right, let's go and test it out. View GPT. All right, here you go. This GPT is able to talk to our custom API endpoint and recommend 3 YouTube tutorials and just give you a summary. Um, and and hopefully this can save you a lot of time. Yeah, so in summary, what we've done is we have not only created a custom GPT agent, but also allowed it to access our custom API endpoint to do YouTube search, and this is really powerful. The fact that we can build something like this in 20 minutes is really empowering. I think in the coming months we're going to see more and more specialized um, GPTs that essentially talk to some proprietary algorithm or software in the backend for solving some really domain specific tasks. All right, thank you very much. If you liked the video, please don't forget to subscribe.